So we've added some measures, we've looked around and we've tried to make sense of what we're doing. But is there a simpler way? Can we calculate things in a group? Alright lads and lasses, welcome along. Weekend work. So calculation groups are a thing in Power BI, and a lot of what we've shown you with dropping in the business rules or doing something else like that. Yeah, we started with some basic time intelligence, then we thought, oh, we need a business rules inspections measure, and then we had to replicate all that time intelligence. With calculation groups, that could have all been done automatically for us. So what's the calculation group and how do you go about building it? Let's cut an hour into Power BI desktop and have a look. Alright, so here we are, right? I've built this one already and we've got here a nice table, and this whole table, if we look at the left hand side, what we can see when we zoom in on this table is there's only really 3 areas. So the rows are years, we can see that, right? The values is just inspections, and yet columns is this thing called time intelligence. What is that? If we go and have a look at the table for time intelligence, let's see if that makes any sense, see if that helps us out. So on time intelligence here, there's nothing there. If we go and check in the table view, time intelligence, I've got some, they're definitely the column headings, but what do they mean? How does that all come about? Right? And this is what a calculation group is. This is how you see a calculation group. What it's doing behind the scenes is it's got a measure, a DAX expression that runs with each of these. So current is just is the current version of whatever it is. And again, you have to put that in, but it's good practice to have your top one be the current value. And then I've done some other ones like a year to date, last year, yearly average, percentage change, and average percentage change. And what you can see is all of that flows easily, efficiently, and most importantly, the number formatting is preserved across the two. There are times when you wouldn't want to use these in the context of a table like this, so like my yearly average and my average percentage change would probably want to be more tiles. And I can drop these out by using my filter in here. So if I say, well, I want current, FY, last FY, and percentage change, that's all I need, right? And then I can turn around and I can say, well, let's put in a tile. That tile, I want to have inspections, and then we can bring in time intelligence as a filter on here. And if this one, let's say the average percentage change. And I've brought this in here, and as you can see, some of these you do need to be careful with. So the reason why I want you to be aware of calculation groups is because they are really useful. It's great to be able to bring these in, but there are also limitations in terms of what they can do for you. If we say we want the yearly average, that should be about right. The average change is going to be more difficult because of the way it's calculated on a row by row basis. And the way we see that is when we go in and actually look at how it's built. So this is one I've built earlier. Let's go and look at the process of building these. So I'll switch back to our basic one. We can see on the right hand side here, no time intelligence. No siree Bob. So we need to add that to start with. How do we do all that? The first thing you have to do is you have to make sure you've got the external tools installed that you're going to need. And to do calculation groups, you really need Tabular Editor. So we'll click on Tabular Editor and let's get started. So here is Tabular Editor. What do I need to do? It's actually remarkably simple. If you expand your tables and right click on them, you can see you can add a calculation group. So let's do that and let's give it a name. Time intelligence. So that's going to create a table in my Power BI desktop file called time intelligence. Okay. Note, to do this, you can only do it against the primary PBIX file. So you can't do it against a secondary report or anything like that. You get a can't connect error. right? The model needs to exist within the PBIX file. So we've got here, this is built. What's the next thing I need to do? If I expand it out and start here, we've got the name. Now that name is going to be the value that you're going to drag and put in the column heading or somewhere else to use as a filter so that you've got just the right one. So for this, I'm going to call this time intelligence as well. And you can see we've got down in the attributes, under calculation items, that's the next place we go to. So we right click on that again and select a new calculation item. And I'm going to call this one the current, which, as I say, that's good practice to get it there. Sorry, my old man eyes aren't seeing that. Is that double R? Hope it is. Right. And then what's the code for this? Selected measure. Okay. So selected measure is the secret sauce that makes calculation groups work. This is the measure that you're going to hand into it for it to do some magic with. Next, I'm going to create a new calculation item and call this YTD, year to date. Yeah? So how about for year to date we think, right, there we go. Okay, and it's messed that up, or I've messed that up. Year to date, it happens. So you need to keep an eye on what's going on with it. Okay, we've now got year to date. Create a new one, and this will be, oh, what are we up to? Percentage change. Percentage change, and then the last one we're going to do is the average percentage change. Now, the reason why I haven't filled these in is because I want you to see something here. Right? So, in the percentage change, if we remember, right, and if we go back to our Power BI file or PBIX file, so here, looking at our other values, yeah, if we look at the percentage change, it looks simple, doesn't it? But you can see it's referencing to other calculations. So if I go back to my calculation groups, what that would mean is it's referencing my year to date and my last year to date, isn't it? Yeah, so if we look at this, year to date and last year. So these two here. Now, it's really bad practice in calculation groups to reference the calculation group. So the reality is, the measure, you end up having to declare variables for the other measures that you would do. So you end up repeating them. Okay? So in this one, we've got the year-to-date calculation spelled out, and we've got the last year calculation spelled out, and then we've returned those two variable sets. Okay? And that's how you get that to work. What it means is, if we look at this one, okay, it's a little bit longer. So the average percentage change is like that. So there's a lot happening. When you've got your calculation group measures in, right, what you need to do is hit save there, right? And then if you come back over into Power BI desktop, I can find the right Power BI desktop file. Got too many open now. Here we go. Yeah. It's going to say one or more calculation groups need to be refreshed manually. So what we need to do is hit refresh now. So we'll refresh it now, and suddenly what you can see on the right hand side is I've got time intelligence there. So if we bring in and build this table up, let's build a matrix up. So let's bring in the calendar, year as the rows. Let's bring in time intelligence as the columns, and then let's complete this by bringing in inspections. And you can see we've now got these all in, right? The issue now is they're not in the right order. So they're in alphabetical order, which isn't what I want, is it? Right? And that's because they've all got the same ordinal. So if we went and looked at time intelligence, they're all -1. So that's not right. So how do we fix that first? The way we fix it, it's actually quite an easy one. It's just drag. If you drag one to the top and you click on it now, drag one down. There we go, year to date, there we go. Start dragging them around, it starts putting them on the order so you can see their ordinal values. You can go through them and start doing them, and but it will display them in the order that they're in. And I've found in the past, you start doing it and then you start getting confused. Drag one around a couple of times and you'll find it gets it, and then you can start doing that with the rest. Right, these will now be in order. So we've hit save again, so you always got to hit save, get back in the habit of that. Come back through here, refresh now, and you can see they're now in the order that they appeared. The next thing is, these number formats are different, aren't they? That's not a problem either. So this allows you to have different numbering expressions for all your measures. So some could be currency, and currency could be one. You know, you could use different currency codes if you're going through and doing different currency calculations, for example. You could be doing different sum x's across currency values to then actually work out what it would be in pounds, dollars, euros, anything like that. But for these, we've just got some percentages in. So what we can do is we can say, wait, I want that to be 0.0%. Okay, enter, and then do the same on the next one. So speech marks 0.0%. I thought, you know, no decimal point is maybe a little bit too. We'll show you what it looks like. Yeah, save it again, go back over to your Power BI file, and it'll tell you need to refresh probably. Oh no, it won't. Okay, and we've now got our values in the format that we've presented them. Okay. If you want to use these outside of a table as in a chart, for example, you need to be able to use time intelligence as a legend or a filter against it. So you'll find there are some things in some areas where it doesn't quite work, or there's issues that you just find it's not quite right. So if we looked and we put on a slicer for year, for example, we could pick, I think, what was it, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah. We get a better result, don't we? But again, the average year is just the latest one. We can tell that's just the latest one, right, for the average percentage change. So as a measure, that's one that doesn't work well with this calculation group. That's not to say it's not right, because it might well be it's a case that I need to just sit down and think through the DAX some more and make sure that I've worked out the right way to get all the data sets to come through. But it's definitely one of those things, go in, eyes open, but they can be very transformative, because if I needed to bring something else in, I can, and that capability goes a long way. So if we think, we'll bring in the business rules, let's add it as a measure this time here. So we've now got our business rules version. Now all I need to do is if I Control C and Control V that there, and replace. So all of a sudden I've been able to switch and mix and match, right? This is the key. This is where the power of it starts to come through. So what do you reckon then? Calculation groups. They're an amazing part of Power BI, and when they were added, it is transformative, because all those secondary pieces that I would need to put in to support that measure, so year-to-date calculations, average annual calculation, all those can be moved into calculation groups. What you saw with the average percentage change is potentially it's not quite as straightforward as you'd think, and that's one where what I'd probably need to do is sit down with what the value is and where the issues are, and go through the DAX piece. And we probably will do a video will have a look going through that debugging piece. There's a lot to learn with DAX, and I don't want to really get bogged down with it with you at this point in time. I've done plenty of it as I've gone through and trained lots and lots of people in this. So it's not a new one, and obviously having gone through the Optimizing DAX course and of course the Microsoft Data Associates course, I'm quite comfortable with debugging DAX and pulling it apart and working out what the issues are. Right? When you're doing this with variables, you kind of have to do it at each level and make sure it's returning the right value streams for you. So I will do all of that. That's not a problem, and I think the problem is more likely that I need to put in where it's building the table to then do the average X against the table in the measure as opposed to anywhere else. So don't worry. Right. As I say, what you can do though is head on out to geordieintelligence.co.uk, become a member, sign up to some of our courses. Doing the dashboard in a day course from Microsoft, a $5. Can't argue with that, really, can you? Yeah, be a great course. It's a fun course to deliver. It's a fun course to go through, although it does make me cringe using their data sets. It's one of the things I didn't want to do with Geordie Intelligence, but the realities are if you're going to deliver that course, you have to do it their way. They don't allow any deviations from it, and I fully support and understand that. We've got our own courses available as well. We've got the ones going on from the Dashboard in a Day course, and I've also got one on the easier side of that as well, as an introduction to Power Query, as a way for people to start to get their heads around what Power BI actually is. For now though, take care and stay safe. Have a great weekend. Ta-da.